got it here now. It depends what you're cooking too. I mean, when we were making fried chicken, I'd have the guys sear off the chicken so you get it nice and crispy in their frying pan on the stove, and then we put it in a Dutchie to bake it in. And then, you know, of course, that one's on the bottom, and then the Italian sausages, which you're just steaming and getting through, were in the next level. And, you know, we make multi-meats and things like that. And then the things were, when we were making pecan pies and stuff like that, well, it didn't matter too much because you got your pecan pie on 4 stones inside the Dutch oven, so it was pretty tough to burn as long as you didn't have direct, you know, contact with the bottom.
Okay.
So we tried. I mean, we made tons of cobblers over the years, but you know, I tried to get them to go back into more pies and things like that, which again leads yourself into, you know, you can cook anything at home. You can cook out in the field. Don't just get stuck with brown betties and peach cobbler all the time. I mean, there's more ideas out there, guys. So we made pecan pie was one of my favorites, and then we'd make pumpkin pie and that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. And I've read a number of articles where people use Dutch ovens basically as big cooking pots, right, for stews and stuff like that. And you can actually do baking. That's why I elected to bring the stuff that's over there. Those are all baked in a Dutch oven. Actually, I cheated. I didn't use a Dutch oven. I used a large cast iron frying pan to bake the stuff that's over there. So that's all. I mean, it looks like it was put out. Somebody said you didn't cook these in a Dutch oven. Who was that? They should be. Maybe it was Mr. Brzezicki. But yes, those were all prepared in a Dutch oven. So you can do that. If you want to teach your guys a good rule of thumb, instead of memorizing the temperature charts and multiplying the distance of the diameter of the Dutch oven by 2 and subtracting 3 for the bottom and adding 3 for the top. Incidentally, cast iron lasts almost forever. This particular thing is over 100 years old. It's belonged to my mother's mother, my grandmother. Still works. If it's cold and you drop your Dutch oven, you might break it. And then it gives you a bunch of good memories. This one here is Andy Sokol. This one's Mike Phillips. And this one here is Mrs. Banks. So don't drop your Dutch oven when it's cold. But as far as adjusting your temperature, if you just have good coals in your charcoals, I never know how a bag of coal is going to burn, because we have charcoal sitting in our troop shed over the course of the winter, and of course it sucks up water, and you throw it on the fire and it doesn't burn. So adjusting your temperature, and some of your handouts say 2/3 on the top, 1/3 on the bottom, and that's a pretty good rule of thumb. If you're going to boil or fry, you put more on the bottom than on the top. If you're going to bake, you put more on the top. If you hold your hand about 2 inches above your Dutch oven, start at 500 degrees. I've only seen a few recipes for pizza that will now flash bake pizzas at better than 500 degrees. So just start at 500, because you're not gonna go above 500 anyway. So if you can hold your hand there for 1 second, and before you have to pull it away, you're at about 500 degrees or warmer. And then you drop it 50 degrees for every second that you can hold your hand there. So if you're at 500 degrees, now you're at 450, 400, 350, oops, okay, 350, that's a good temperature for baking. And you can ask Mr. Wallace, Mrs. Banks. I've been doing that for years, and it generally works pretty well. Counting the number of coals, I've never done that. So when you're Dutch oven cooking, have a shovel, judge your heat, and I think that cooking is, oh, what?
I was going to say, if you don't count coals, what number do you start with to think you're going to be 350 degrees? I mean,
well, and one of your, yeah, go
I
ahead.
don't count coals either, and I just put one ring of coals around the outside and about 8 or 10 underneath, and it always works. I mean, it's Dutch oven cooking. I'm not cooking at home now. I mean, sometimes it's a little hotter, a little colder, but that's usually a good rule of thumb. And I start with a big chimney, so if I got extras, I just save them until I need them later.
I thought I heard 25 degrees of coal.
Yeah, and in your handouts, it goes somewhere between 10 and 25 degrees of cold. So it's a pretty variable type of thing. But yeah, you can do that.
Like I said, it depends what you're making. Like if I'm making a cake, I'm a little more cautious, not put a little less coals and a little more, because the cake will burn quicker than like the pizza casserole, right? Yeah.
Right. Well, the other thing with coals is, why do we have feet on the Dutch ovens?
Put coals underneath.
To put coals underneath them. You don't want the bottom of your Dutch oven really touching your coals. And Don pointed out that these are good for the flat bottom ones without the feet. Those are good for using, you can actually use them on your propane stoves. And you can make wonderful stew and bake biscuits, well dumplings, on top of your stew, just using your stove. You don't have to put the coals on top at all. But so we have a mix of the flat bottom and the ones with legs.
That's the problem with those, is the lids aren't designed to have coals really on.
Well,
And that one might be, but
this
the other
one
one is
is-
a little bit smaller.
yeah, some of them slope off and fall off.
So they're more for stoves or hanging above a campfire or something.
Right, right. If you do want to bake a bunch of stuff, like we're gonna be showing the Weeblos how to bake cookies this weekend at the Beyond the Eagle. And all of our Dutch ovens, and we have a pretty good split between with feet and without feet. So what do you do if you're gonna bake?
Set them on stones.
Set them on stones. I like to use those spiky tent stakes. You drive 3 of them into the ground. 3, there you go, 3. And if this were the bottom, just kind of so you disperse them around the bottom, okay? And just set them on the stakes, and then level your Dutch oven, and you're baking. Okay? How do you level your Dutch oven?
A little water.
Little bit of water.
Little bit of water. Exactly. If it runs to one side or the other, that side's too low. So, little water, a few tent stakes, you can bake with almost anything. Yeah.
We flip a garbage can over and use that and put the coals on top of that. I didn't read all the way through this, but to keep the heat from going down into the ground.
Oh, you bake on the top of a garbage can?
No, you take the lid, you flip it over, and you put your coals there, then you set your feet on top of that.
Oh,
So
okay.
it doesn't create necessarily a burn mark on the ground.
Okay.
And it holds the heat and it kind of flashes it back up instead of letting it go to the ground.
Okay. Well, that's an idea. I know
We do
we've
the same
cooked
with
on
foil.
sheet metal.
We put foil down. And
Okay.
we
Foil,
flip it up.
yeah, foil would probably work, yeah.
We have a Dutch oven table too.
Oh, there you go.
Those are great.
That's great, has a much on the ground.
There you go.
Yeah. We used those when we went on a trip down to Colorado one year, and that was wonderful. We just haven't invested in them.
They're expensive, yeah.
Okay. Hear that, Jason? Dutch oven tables.
Make it
Okay.
recipes? What are some of the more unique, I guess, things that you guys, we made lasagna one year and it was delicious. You know, it's this thick and 5 different meats or whatever, and cheese, it was great. I mean, but then we had, what do they call it, an Iron Chef competition, where we gave each patrol different ingredients and they had to come up with something, and then, you know, we went around and judged as well. And on cold, you know, fall campouts when they're cooking whatever, mac and cheese or whatever it was that they were cooking, and they take the lid off and presentation and all that, so each patrol did something different.
At the fall camporee, last year we did a breakfast bake on Sunday, because normally you're not a lot of times cooking, but we did a Dutch oven breakfast bake, which, you know how cold it was, it was
Oh, yeah.
good to eat something hot, so worked out pretty well.
Those work out really good. You put just the hash browns,
Yeah.
potatoes on the bottom.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
We do that quite a bit on outings and
We do it all the time.
made 2 different kinds. One
Yeah.
just like ham and cheese for the
Right.
non-adventurous and one with everything else.
Yeah, but that was very good.
Yeah, they turn out quick.
We'll often challenge our guys to come up with something they haven't made before. We're going on this next weekend, and we said, well, make something you haven't made before. And they came up with, they're gonna make potato pancakes and polo sausage for breakfast. So we'll see how that works. But, yeah, the kids like cooking. I'm sorry, Don, you were gonna say?
No, I was gonna, what was the dinner that you made? You brought?
I made pizza casserole, because all the time I've always been trying to figure out how can you feed pizza to like a big enough patrol, right? Because Making pizza in Dutch oven, you can do it, but it needs like two, right, at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So I came up with a
Box
recipe, I looked online, and just came up with my own thing for pizza casserole, and it's a whole box of noodles, and you put whatever pizza stuff you want in it, like this one here has sausage, pepperoni, onions and mushrooms, and then pizza sauce, and you put mozzarella on top and just bake it up after you cook the noodles. It tastes like pizza, it smells like pizza, and they love it. I mean, it's one they make on their own now too. Because when it's cooking, it smells like, my house smells like pizza practically.
Can you put like a dumpling mix on top to make
No, I
a
use,
crust or something, or?
No, I use bow tie noodles.
Oh, okay.
Something a little thicker than regular like pasta. If you're so bad, you're gonna try it. But the other thing I found out